Let me explain what this is about. Who can give me a definition of stress? This is the interactive bit. Anyone? No?
Yeah.
Even if you have got one, and it's really good, we're still going to use mine, but I was just trying to be interactive. Go on.
Going out of your head.
When you're
Out of your head.
head, it's more a figure of speech.
Mariola is the definition of stress.
Okay, time's up. Okay, it is actually defined quite strictly as being more being demanded of an organism by its environment than it has resources to cope with. And you can even make it more general and philosophical and say that any demand greater than the supply creates stress. Yeah? If you've got a rope that you're pulling on and the weight on the rope is more than the rope can take, it'll break the rope. If you've got more bills to pay than you've got income, then you're financially stressed. Yeah? But it's actually focusing on people quite an apt description when you think about it, because the more tasks that are given to you and the more you have to think and process them, that's where you start to feel stressed. Stress is very closely related to fatigue, because your resources that you have inside, cognitive resources, physical resources, that you will cope with those external or environmental demands, they're not like magical things that last infinitely long. They get used up. You know, if you're subject to a lot of environmental demands, whether it's people, you know, whether it's stairs you're climbing, or it's the phone ringing, or it's kids saying, "Mum, Mum," or whatever it is, you know, or it's clients saying, "I'm not happy," and then another phone ring, and then one thing after another. That's a lot of stuff going on. You have to process, and you start to run out of those. They start to go down, and you're running out of things, and as that curve goes down, your stress levels go up. Yeah? And if they keep going up, it can have actual physiological consequences. People can have absolute mental breakdowns because of stress. And in 2014, work cover claims related to stress cost $273 million. That's in Victoria alone. And I don't know that it's gone down since then. It's probably gone up. Yes? Oh, I did ask it. Now, the reason I've come along today to talk to a bunch of interpreters is because interpreters don't necessarily have obvious safety concerns. When I say obvious, ones that don't need explanation that everyone will agree on. But we do have safety concerns, and I would say stress is number one. Fatigue leading to stress, leading to mental impairment and all sorts of consequences. Now, Eva, I know you're an experienced interpreter. Have you experienced stress? Yeah. In simultaneous interpreting, that is probably the easiest memory to draw on when you think, yeah, if people can speak at the same speed, but if they are using sentences that are lexically dense, that is more unique words per absolute number of words, as opposed to being repetitive. People are repeating things. That's not so bad, because you hear the same phrase, "I just did that, I can do it again." That's much less work than hearing a new phrase and a new one and a new thing. That creates stress. So simultaneous interpreting is clearly a stressful activity, and that's why we generally limit our working time to 20 or 30 minutes and work in teams. Yeah? However, stress is a poor relation compared to breaking bones or lacerations. That's a good one, because everyone can see blood and no one's going to argue about that. Everyone knows you're injured. You know, if you've just lost a hand, there's absolutely no debate about it. But there's quite a bit of debate about injuries that you can't see, especially when work cover's forking out hundreds of millions of dollars for them. Because this whole stress thing, is it real? Are people rorting the system? Similar to back injuries. And you know how Current Affair will go after people who have lied about their back injury. Because it's difficult to verify. Yeah? Now, if it is a real problem, and it's difficult to verify, it makes it harder for the people who are suffering real stress. Because they, as well as suffering real stress, they have to go through this process of convincing everyone that it's real. Now, for interpreters, it is a major issue for us, and we need to manage that because it's a risk, it will affect our health. We have to manage it. But unfortunately, it's not the sort of thing that we can just do all by ourselves. We can't just pop a pill and remove stress. We actually can. Those pills are illegal. And I didn't come here to sell drugs. No. What I'm saying is that to manage stress, you have to manage your work levels. You have to manage, in other words, all those environmental demands. And that requires the cooperation of the people in your environment. And that would be our clients. That would be the market. And before they start cooperating and helping us to manage our stress levels so that they get good results out of us, they have to understand. They have to believe. Now, they don't believe. What we do for a living from the outside looks like what people do for fun. We just talk. Now, let me just take a sip of water. Brilliant timing. Now, if you owned a screwdriver and a pair of pliers, that wouldn't make you an electrician. An electrician has to have a screwdriver and a pair of pliers. But just having them doesn't mean you're an electrician. An electrician is someone who knows how to use them to install and repair wiring through which real electricity will be flowing later on, and they have to be prepared to take professional responsibility for getting it wrong when someone gets an electric shock. And they have to be so good at doing that day after day that they can feed their children with the process. Now that's an electrician. But just having screwdriver and pliers? No. That's just someone with screwdriver and pliers. Okay. This is the sort of prejudice that we have to break down to get our market to understand, because they think if you've got two languages, you're a translator or an interpreter. Whereas the difference is just as great between the person with the screwdriver and the pair of pliers. And to get through to them, we need to get them to experience the sort of stress that we experience. Now, that's very hard to do. How can we do that? They're not interpreters. If they were interpreters, they wouldn't have called us. But I've come up with a little exercise that I think replicates or simulates or faintly resembles the sort of thing an interpreter goes through. And I want each of you to experience it, have a go at it, and then think about whether it works, can you improve it, and can I try it on a sceptical client who says, well, why do you need a rest? You're just talking all day. Because we need them to say, hell, you need a rest because I know what you're going through. If we can convert clients into those sort of clients, it will be better for everyone and better health outcomes for interpreters, which is what I care about. Okay, how this works is I'm going to control this YouTube clip of Jennifer Lawrence. We're going to start off with Eva.
Okay.
And I'm going to play this and pause it around about 20 seconds worth. And then you're going to repeat back. Not in Polish. That would be absurd.
Can I take notes?
No. It's just consecutive. Come on. And
Yeah, so take notes.
20 seconds. Come on. And I want you to try and repeat back word for word what she said.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm controlling the sound here, not you. Yeah? Once we demonstrate that you are, in fact, capable of doing that and do deserve the title of CEO, right, then you're going to sit there and play Tetris and do the same thing. Do you see where I'm headed with it? Did you predict that, Rachel?
I was wondering if it would be something like that.
Tetris is a very close analogy to interpreting because these things keep coming at you and you have to decide where they're going to go and how they're going to be oriented. And you can't stop. Yeah? And you've got a lot going on in your mind, hence the Jennifer Lawrence element. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's try that. Okay.
She is the queen of reality TV, social media, and now cosmetics too.
She's the queen of social media, reality TV, and now cosmetics too.
With her beauty company, KKW Beauty, please welcome Kim Kardashian West.
With her KKK beauty company, please welcome Kim Kardashian West.
bit of breathing time for you. Otherwise, notice how I don't leave any gaps. Ready? Wait.
Wow, I'm excited.
All right,
I'm
buckle
excited.
down and get comfortable. My first question. Do you think it's a coincidence that Reggie Bush's wife looks just like you?
I get comfortable. Do you think it's a coincidence that Reggie Bush's wife looks just like you?
So, I've been
Hearing's always an issue in interviews.
obsessed with you. Probably not for you. But I've been obsessed with you for a really long time. Can you remember the first time we met?
Something. But can you remember the first time we met?
I do actually. We were at a hotel in New York.
I do actually. We were at a hotel in New York.
Okay, you're doing quite well.
Thank you.
Now we're going to point the speakers at Andrew's chair, and you're going to take over Andrew's chair, and you're going to play Tetris. Yeah? And to simulate interpreting, we're going to have Andrew and Rachel pretend to be ignorant clients watching you work,
Okay.
waiting for you to stuff up. Ready?
Yeah.
You can start, press play.
You have to use the arrow.
There
Or
you
you
go.
can use the mouse as well.
And I don't know where we were coming from, but it was late. We were going up to see this Axel Vavort suite at the Greenwich.
Hello. You-
She's just really into the Tetris.
You're meant to be repeating back.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention. Yeah.
So,
okay.
interpret what's going on here. Ready?
Yeah.
Greenwich, I think? Yeah. And I'm getting in the elevator with Kanye, and the doors are like about to close. And
Greenwich, I think, right? And I was about to get into an elevator with Kanye.
you hear Jennifer screaming, I love your show!
And I hear Jennifer screaming, I love your show.
Like, so loud across the hall.
That was the same hotel where I was taking off my bra under my shirt and Kanye tapped me on the shoulder. I was like, what?
It was the same hotel where I was taking off my bra and Kanye tapped me on the shoulder and I was like, wow.
Oh my God. So recently I went over to your mom's house for dinner.
So recently I went over to your mum's house for dinner.
It was everything I could have ever dreamed
Was
of.
it?
It was everything
Yeah.
I've ever could have dreamed of. Yes.
Because I have to say, so Jennifer came over for dinner, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I have to say, so like Jennifer came over for dinner like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, let's just stop there.
She's too good.
You're doing pretty well, but there were some big omissions there
Oh, yeah.
in the middle. Did you notice a different level of stress with and without Tetris?
I actually found it easier to concentrate. It's really-
And how did you go with Tetris?
Oh, not well.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Okay.
you know, when I don't have to look at people, you know, that's why I was asking before if I can concentrate. If I don't have to look,
If you don't have to look.
yeah, I'm getting this just listen.
Interesting. Let's try one of these translators. Andrew, why don't you play Tetris? You
I
don't
can't really
clear
play
that.
Tetris when I'm paying attention to
Andrew.
Tetris.
Oh,
Andrew, you're
I'm going
in
to try something. Oh, Jimmy Kimmel emotional interview.
Oh, hello.
Sounds
It's too emotional.
awful.
Hold on.
Let's try that. Let's try without Tetris.
Without Tetris, alright.
Ready?
Yeah.
I'm joking to make myself not cry.
I'm joking to make myself not cry.
Complete this sentence. Matt Damon and I are really.
Complete this sentence. Matt Damon and I are really...
Enemies.
Kimmel, who turns 50 next month, was always the lovable frat boy at 11:30.
Kimmel, who turns 50 next month, was always the lovable frat boy at the party.
But like other late night hosts, he put comedy on hold after the Las Vegas massacre.
But like other late night hosts, after the Vegas massacre, he put comedy on hold a little.
Maybe I'm nuts, but I would like to think we could put politics aside and agree that no American citizen needs an M16.
Maybe I'm not, but we can put politics aside, and not every American needs an M16.
Okay, that's not bad. He actually said no American. But apparently you want some Americans to have
Yeah.
M16s.
That's fine.
Anyway, okay, so let's try it with Tetris now. Just want you to experience the full agony.
Alright.
Yeah? You going?
Yeah.
Or 10 of them. And maybe that way we don't do this again.
Or 10 of them, and maybe that way we don't do this again.
Kimmel's call for gun control after the shooting was both praised and criticized.
Kimmel's call for gun control after the shooting was both praised and criticized.
You've heard there's one conservative commentator in particular who says, who made Jimmy Kimmel the moral arbiter?
You've heard there's one particular political analyst who said who made Jimmy Kimmel the whatever.
I'm not. I mean, yeah, I agree with them. I'm nobody's moral arbiter. I mean, you don't have to watch the show. You don't have to listen to what I say.
I'm not, yeah, I agree with them. Who made me the moral arbiter? I mean, you don't have to watch my show or like what I say.
And he's not bad. Why have you got him sitting at a desk? Anyway, okay, stop playing Tetris during training. I hope that each of Rachel, did you want to have a go? Have I omitted you unfairly?
I'm not worried.
Yeah, all right. Well, can I hear from Andrew and Eva? Did that simulate for you the sort of mental processing that goes on when you're interpreting?
No. Yes and no. Because like I said, for me it helped me focus because I didn't have to look and be distracted. But like, what would happen if I started losing, which I wasn't, that would simulate it.
But did we, I'm asking everyone but you, notice a difference in Eva's output according to whether she was playing Tetris or not?
I think
More testing required?
I think she actually, like, there were bits she listened to.
The thing is, I think there were a few more omissions, but it's not enough data.
Yeah.
And I've done this myself, and my performance dropped while I was playing Tetris. It was easier for me to watch them. I prefer looking at their face because I compensate for not hearing by seeing their face. You know, there's different strategies here. So you note at the beginning of this session that I did say, have a look at this and think, how could you improve it? Because the goal here is to come up with some way of getting people who are not interpreters to try something and then walk away and say, oh my God, this is hard work. I had no idea. I thought they were just saying stuff. So I encourage you to answer and solve all of those problems and invite me back so that you can present your results to me soon.